Washington state is nearing the end of its 2025 legislative session. There has been a lot going on, and I wanted to take a moment today to give you a quick update on a few of the bills that have been on our hot list all session long. Hey, everybody, I'm Julie Barrett, founder of Conservative Ladies of America. And today is just going to be a quick rapid fire update on three of the worst bills that we've been watching in Washington state this session that have now all been signed into law. Let's dive right in. First up, we've got Senate Bill 5632, which strengthens Washington's shield law, which was originally passed in 2023 as House Bill 1469. It was passed with bipartisan support. This was done in response to the overturning of Roe v. Wade in June of 2022. And this shields providers and people and anyone involved in abortion care or so-called transgender affirming care for people that might come from out of state into Washington to receive these services. So SB 5632, as Planned Parenthood put out in their action alert for people to sign in pro, which was opposite of us, they say as threats to people who travel to Washington for abortion and gender affirming care continue to mount, we are revisiting the state's 2023 shield law. SB 5632 will increase legal protections for those who help residents of states with abortion or gender affirming care bans access care in Washington. This is also known as a transgender trafficking policy because it does allow people to bring children in from other states for so-called gender affirming care or abortions, and they would be protected from any kind of legal recourse from their home state. So this is a very, very bad bill. I was looking through the bill text. I did not see an effective date for this bill, so I'm assuming it would be like 90 days from the date that the bill is signed. Next up on our list is House Bill 1321. This is to prohibit outside militia activity within the state of Washington. It would require approval by the governor for out-of-state National Guard to come in and help with something like national disasters, or if you had some kind of an anarchy situation, i.e. the Summer of Love and the Chaz Chop situation in Seattle in 2020. I believe this is primarily virtue signaling. I don't think that there is really a purpose to this because if the president ordered the National Guard into the state, the governor cannot override that. And that is even stated in the bill. So I kind of think this is really just virtue signaling, just trying to assert power and authority and let people know who's the boss and that you can't come into our state unless you have our consent.
Our neighbor, Idaho, and their law. We welcome collaboration with National Guard forces when warranted, but only with our permission. The new law does not restrict the National Guard from supporting disaster response and recovery efforts through mutual aid agreements. Representative Mena has been a real leader on this legislation, which we so appreciate. It's one I mentioned in my inaugural address, so I feel particularly close to it as well, but really appreciate her leadership in bringing this important legislation to my desk. And I know she shares the view that we just cannot allow as a state to have armed forces come into our home and enforce policies that are against our core values. State autonomy is the foundation of our federalist system. This bill is a simple but very important expression of that system.
The way that Governor Ferguson speaks right before he signs the bill really says it all, I think, is that he wants to say that our policies are not like the federal government's policies, and many other states have different policies than we do. And we are going to protect our progressive, Marxist, communist, whatever you want to call them, policies here in Washington. So I totally think that's a virtue signal type move. All right, the last bill on our list for today is House Bill 1531. And this is a bill that a lot of people have been very concerned about. I've seen a lot of information being shared on social media that is maybe not quite accurate, but this bill, and they changed the intent in the opening paragraph of this bill to say that it is not the intent of this legislation to be able to impose any kind of mandates like a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate or something like that. That may be the intent of the bill. The way that the bill is written, it would allow for those kind of mandates to happen under this policy.
Washingtonians must have access to accurate health information. to make healthcare decisions for themselves and their families, especially when it comes to communicable diseases. House Bill 1531 makes it clear that Washington's public health response must be guided by the best available science. This bill directs state and local public health officials to educate Washington communities about these diseases using evidence-based resources to control the spread of disease, including vaccines. It also prohibits from enacting statutes, ordinances, rules, or policies that prevent the use of these resources.
What I think is really the issue here, and Governor Ferguson mentions it before he signed the bill this morning, is that they want to make sure that there aren't jurisdictions within the state that are banning such mandates. You might have counties or cities on the east side of the state that want to give people their personal freedom and medical freedom and give them a choice on mandates that might be pushed down from the state. This bill does not allow for anybody to do that. If the state decides there's going to be some kind of mandate or guardrails or information that's going to be shared, no jurisdiction can ban that. So that's more what I see, is that the state is really wanting to assert themselves once again, sort of a virtue signal thing. But I also don't think that a vaccine mandate is out of the question. I think that what we're seeing with some of these bills, just like 1321, which I just told you about, I think what we're seeing is the state really positioning themselves for the next emergency. Both House Bill 1321 and House Bill 1531 have emergency clauses at the end of them, which means that they take effect immediately upon signing. So that means both of these bills are now state law in Washington. So that's the update for today, which is April 21st. There are going to be a lot more bill signings as we move forward. This is really the last week of the legislative session. So the legislature is busy voting on bills. They're still having some hearings on some tax bills. I think we're going to see a number of new taxes come out of this legislative session. I fully believe that Governor Ferguson will sign many or most of them, maybe not all of them, but it's definitely going to have an impact, a negative impact on citizens. There are a number of bad policies coming out of Olympia this year that Washington citizens need to know about. So we will keep bringing you these updates as more bills get signed, as they've moved through the process. There's still a number of bills that we've been tracking that are awaiting a floor vote. They may or may not get voted on. So we will keep you up to date with that. Be sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and our Substack. That is the best way to get breaking alerts and calls to action. Please do share this video with other concerned citizens that need to know what's going on, which really should be everybody. And please do share your comments with us. What are your thoughts on these bills? How do you think that these policies are going to be rolled out? Are you concerned about these policies? Would love to hear what your thoughts are. So please do leave a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.